Sports Talk Radio, it's Tony's Takes.
Here we go.
Hey, welcome back to another great episode of Tony's Takes for the best show in sports talk radio. And of course, not alone in the studio, sitting next to me is my co-host, Jimmy D. Jim Jam, how are you?
I'm doing good, Tony. What's up?
It's going to be a great week. There's a lot to talk about. We got Eagles to talk about. We have, well, actually, scratch the Eagles. We have a feud with another podcast. My words about Ashley Howard in the Tom Goal Arena, They struck a chord with a couple of the fans out there of Tony's Takes, and we're going to get into that, a little rivalry. Tony's Takes has never shied away from a rivalry before. Let's just say that. From the Fourth and Long pod, I even took it to an unnamed writer at the Philadelphia Inquirer. Tony's not afraid to back down from a fight. Let's just put it like that. We're going to talk about the Eagles. We're talking about the James Harden drama. I mean, this is as big as it gets for sports and player empowerment. This is the real test of player empowerment within the NBA and within sports in general, from football to baseball to even soccer. I guess you could throw soccer in there. But what James Harden is doing is worth talking about. We're going to get into that as well. And we're also going to talk about the Phillies. They have a new manager, apparently, according to Jeff Passan of ESPN, so we'll go over that. I think that covers up everything except for St. Joe's, which is where we're going to start today. Because I write about St. Joe's basketball for A10Talk.com. I write about LaSalle basketball. Check out my latest piece at A10Talk.com. I wrote about LaSalle's first win over a Division II opponent for the season because they can't beat a Division I opponent, but that's fine. But let's get into it. Let's talk college basketball because it's the one thing that kind of makes me happy right now. And I know there's a lot of cancellations going on. We've covered the cancellations on Tony's Takes. And for those still piling in, welcome to Tony's Takes. I forgot to say that at the beginning of the show. Welcome to Tony's Takes. We're right now live on YouTube. Of course, this version goes up on Apple Podcast after the show. If you're here on YouTube, please make sure to subscribe. Double-click the notification bell. That way you get notified every time we go live. So let's talk about St. Joe's, Jim. Right now, as you have written in the prescript, there are 0 Big Five games scheduled except for LaSalle v. St. Joe's, which will bring in our friends at the Goal of Standard podcast soon. But as I wrote at A10 Talk earlier this year, I said, look, college games are not going to be easy to come by for non-conference. For non-conference basketball, it is not going to be easy to schedule games. You have to be flexible, and this year, we have to be flexible with Big Five matchups. We thought we were going to get Temple. St. Joe's thought they were going to play Temple this Saturday. Temple ends up canceling because they had a positive test. St. Joe's is back to practicing as of right now. And so fans of St. Joe's were coming off of their little 2-week hiatus, and Temple's going into theirs again. I don't even think Temple's been able to play one game this season so far, which is kind of unfortunate for them. They were going to be a decent team this year. And so we only can look forward to LaSalle. I don't think Villanova's going to schedule us. Villanova refuses to schedule LaSalle, who's still playing. Villanova could play. Villanova hasn't had a positive test yet. They refuse to get LaSalle on the schedule. Who knows why?
They haven't even scheduled their second half of the season yet. They only have games up to like the end of December or maybe end of January, I think, on their schedule.
Has the Big East not come out with a schedule yet?
I don't know, but I was checking Villanova out today, and they didn't even have a full schedule.
I mean, Coach K, news broke today that he's not going to play until ACC play starts.
Wow.
Because Duke got embarrassed. And so now Coach K doesn't want to play anyone until conference play when he can justify a loss to NC State because we play them every year and they know how I coach and blah, 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 blah.
Yeah, Villanova's last game on their schedule is December 23rd.
Wow. Cowards.
Yeah.
Schedule my boys at LaSalle. Come on. Get them on the schedule. There's nothing to be scared of. You'll beat them easily. But I'm going to play the clip now. Okay, so last week, I'm all over the place, Jim. I'm so frantic because the people in the chat are saying, get to Carson Wentz, get to Philadelphia. And by people, I mean...
It's our biggest fan.
Our biggest fan, Steven Summerdale. I can't say no to Steve. But I want to go on about the goal of standard. Okay, I came out and last week I said, look, I have a soft spot for LaSalle. I want them to do well. It's nice when teams can give Villanova a run for their money. It's nice when Atlantic 10 teams do well. I'm a fan of the Atlantic 10 as much as LaSalle is and I've always considered LaSalle to be more of a rival than Villanova, especially talent-wise, and we're in the same conference. There's a lot to be excited for when LaSalle plays St. Joe's, and there's a reason why it should be considered a rivalry. I think fans of St. Joe's or alumni of St. Joe's could agree with that. Pretty sure alumni of LaSalle can agree with that too. But when I make a prescription for how to fix LaSalle, it's out of the bottom of my heart. It's out of the charity of my heart, because that's the Jesuit way. I know the Christian Brothers, maybe not so much, but the Jesuits, we show a little more charity. And I said, I like Ashley Howard. I actually do like Ashley Howard. I think he's doing a good job. I never said that he was that bad. But apparently my friends at the Goal of Standard thought otherwise. But that's okay. They're entitled to their own opinion. However, my quote about the Tom Goal Arena is true. It's not a very nice stadium, and getting to the Palestra as many games of the year is a good thing for LaSalle. They need to show recruits that this is a fun place to play, and I know for a fact out of personal experience, even though that doesn't really mean much, that alumni, they will pay. A LaSalle alumni will pay to go to the Palestra. It is well known that Palestra games are the most advantageous for LaSalle. And okay, sure, maybe I was being a little crazy saying you sell the Tom Goal Arena and build a Trump hotel. Okay, whatever. Sorry. That's just how I roll. I'm a little, Jim, you know how I am.
A little kooky.
Okay, we don't build a hotel. We don't put, Physics 101 inside the Tom Goal Arena and use it as a classroom. Okay, fine. We don't do that. We use it for non-conference games against Division II opponents. That's fine. But don't deny the fact that the Palestra is a good spot for recruitment. And I don't think the guys like the Goal Standard ever said it was a bad spot for recruitment. I just think they weren't dreaming big enough. I'm going to play the quote from the show because I don't like to misrepresent. I'm going to play exactly what they said. This is a Tom Gola or the Gola Standard podcast, and we're going to start playing it. I'm going to pause throughout the thing and break down what they say. So here we go.
I was listening to another podcast called Tony Takes, and I think...
Stop it right there.
The guy...
It's Tony's Takes. It's 2 S's.
From St. Joe's, and he was saying that LaSalle should sell the Goal Arena and play every game at the Palestra to help out with recruiting, because the campus isn't good. The campus and facilities aren't that good.
Which is true.
I mean, I feel that's never ever going to happen. He was saying Ashley Howard isn't doing a good job. I mean, he's in year 3. I mean, I feel like so far with what he's got, I feel like he's doing the best he can. I mean, it's not like St. Joe's last year were world beaters either.
Stop it. Stop it right there. Well, yeah, St. Joe's wasn't world beater. Sorry, we had a 25-year-old coach. Not 25. He wasn't 25 years old. A 25-year tenured coach leave the school and apparently rumored to have called all the recruits and said, don't go there anymore, which I guess is standard in college basketball. And also, we had literally only no one come in as a recruit last year except for like Ramir Moore and Cam Brown. That was it. Of course St. Joe's was going to be bad. I'm not saying they were world beaters either. See, this is the problem. I was showing charity, Jim. I was showing charity out of the kindness of my heart for LaSalle. I'm trying to help you guys out. And you come with the knives out? I mean, come on. We really want to pull the 10-year window open and see what St. Joe's has done compared to LaSalle? How many A-10 titles does LaSalle have in the last 10 years? 0. That's right, Jim. How many does St. Joe's have? 2. Okay, you have the Southwest Philly floater. Stop holding on to that. I'm looking into the future. I'm not looking at the past for LaSalle. I'm looking to the future of how to be great.
And let's not try to pretend that a first-year coach and a 3-year coach are supposed to be comparable in any sense. I don't. Especially, you mentioned the 25-year tenure. That's a legacy that you kind of have to step in. And, based on the pre-script, there's a couple of things that maybe Phil kind of got in the way with. So
yeah. It's alleged, right? We're not going to say anything that's not true without putting, quote, alleged in front of it. But we all know it's true in the bottom of our hearts.
So let's not try and compare and say that, okay, Ashley Howard is in the same place as Billy Lang. It's not.
And I'm not trying to do a measuring contest. That was never my thing. I was trying to help someone out. Okay, let's keep playing.
Attendance for LaSalle games is at its highest when it's at the Palestra.
Thank you.
But there's no way they ever sell the Goal Arena. They're not going to do
No,
that.
I know.
The school is stripped for money.
This is where I have a problem. The school is stripped for money. They would never sell Goal Arena. Well, if you sold Goal Arena, you would make money. I don't know. I have an accounting degree. I think I understand how a sales transaction works.
Yeah, I was talking with an uncle of mine last weekend about LaSalle and kind of what it's always been like there. He grew up in Olney, so he's from that area, and basically it's never been that great of a place. Even back then, like, it's not like this place was booming back then, and then all of a sudden it went downhill. It's never really been that great of a place. So there needs to be a heavy investment in the area, or the school needs to do what it needs to do to have money. So I'm with you there.
Sean P says bring back Big Five doubleheaders. Yes, Sean P, I would 100% jump on that.
Yes, me too.
Those are great.
I love that. Yeah.
Okay, let's just play the end. I don't want to harp on this too long about LaSalle. Well, yeah. I just want to play this one last part because it's pretty funny. These guys are funny.
They're not going to knock it down and not play at the goal. Like, they're going to keep it there.
Yeah.
They're not doing it. The goal is going nowhere.
You heard it here first. The goal is going nowhere.
I hope we crush that. I hope we beat St. Joe's. I want to flap my wings. The Hawk will never die. You let the whole team down. Like, all that crap. I want to throw in that guy's face.
We need a Richie OG, Anthony Morelli cage match at Tom Goal Arena.
The ending's funny.
I love it. I think that we need to have a pre-game show with them.
Yeah, I'm down. If they want to reach out to me, they have reached out to me. I'll do a pregame show with the Goal is Standard. That was the Goal is Standard podcast. Check them out. They're actually pretty funny. All jokes aside.
We're slated for, what is it, January 18th right now.
Mm-hmm.
January 18th with LaSalle.
Yeah, it's funny. I love how they know all the St. Joe's chants. I couldn't name you one LaSalle chant. That's because there's no students to chant them. No one's at the games. Let's move on, Jim. Let's get to the Eagles. I think it's time.
Oh, yes, the Birds.
Do you want to take it up first, or do you want me to go first?
Yeah.
Okay.
All right, so, just looking forward, we got the Saints, I'm pretty sure, at the link. And I have a few things that we can look forward to here. I got 3 things from the Eagles that are kind of positive. So we'll go with Jalen Hurts getting the start. Now, we can roll the clip in a second, but this will likely determine where the team is going ahead in the future. If Jalen continues to light a spark in the team, then maybe Carson has to go. There have been reports over the last 3 years that Carson is like this know-it-all type that refuses to be criticized by his teammates.
Welcome to our weekly one-on.
That's a little Dave Spadera that's coming for you.
I'm getting that together. Sorry, Jim. I forgot I turned down the wrong knob.
So let's just try and get into the mindset of Carson. Really, like, after not being the QB Super Bowl champion, being sidelined watching Foles, win the Super Bowl MVP. It's like probably his dream, right? The Eagles let Foles go. Carson gets put into this spot, and then like that makes me. I can kind of see where he thinks, like he's the guy. No one can question him. This is me. The team has invested in me. No one else. Not even the Super Bowl MVP is the guy. I can see where he gets that know-it-all type of like confidence.
Mm-hmm.
And like this kind of ruins the team's chances to have a collaborative effort, and they get complacent because they can't hold their quarterback accountable if he's making mistakes.
Do you want me to play the clip for you?
So who wants to play for someone who thinks they don't need your help to make decisions as a team?
No one. No one's going to play for you.
Yeah, let's play the clip. We got Doug talking to Dave Spadera on a one-on-one.
Yeah, here we go.
And I'm going to go with Jalen Hurts this week against New Orleans.
Okay, so the rookie gets his first NFL start. Doug, why did you go in that direction? What factors did you take into account to name Jalen the starter?
Quite honestly, we're not where we want to be as an offense. We know that. And you guys have heard me say this a lot around here in the 5 years that I've been here, and it's never about one person. And, we won a championship a couple years ago with a group of men, and it's never about one guy. And, so I looked at the whole thing and decided that for this week and to look for that spark again, to try to get the team over the hump, to try to get everybody playing better, right? And
I'm stopping it right there.
Yeah, that's fine.
I'm going to say this. Doug Peterson has a point in this. This is a team of men, as we've said. And Carson Wentz can't be the guy who dictates everything by fiat. But I think Doug's best point is the fact that he can get a spark into this team. That's the one thing about Doug Peterson. We joke December Doug. We joke that, they get into the playoffs, they make the late push. It doesn't seem like they're going to win the division or clinch a wild card. Remember, they clinched a wild card when the Dallas Cowboys were winning 12 games. They win the division when they just lost the Super Bowl. Well, there was a gap in between the division win and the Super Bowl win, I believe, that year.
Yeah.
But still, to the point, you went to the playoffs 3 times, and for those 2 seasons after the Super Bowl, people don't realize after Super Bowl, your team gets drained. You lose a lot of good players and really nice contracts, and you sign guys for too long. Happened to Seattle. It's taken Seattle a very long time to be a truly competitive team, and even now they're still not competitive when they play Russell Wilson too much. When they pay him too much, not play him, but pay him too much. So there's 2 observations I've had in all this. One, me and Jim talked about this with Doug. What did we say, Jim, when we texted each other? We argued about, can you fire him this year?
Right.
Me and Jim are on the same page when it comes to Howie Roseman. Get rid of him. I've seen too many drafts where you're picking wide receivers in the first round when really that's not what you need. And this year, Mel Kiper has the Eagles picking another wide receiver. That is not okay.
Can't do that.
That is not okay. And you, as Sean Prince-Valley says, not to mention you lose coaches too. You lose players and coaches. Frank Wright is gone. Jim has banged that drum on Tony's takes all season long for the Eagles. So, want to give credit where credit's due on that take.
It's the creative play calling that we lost. That this team wouldn't be as bad as they were if they still had that.
Correct. And so I don't think you can get rid of Doug this season because he's done too much over the last 3. This is the first bump in the road, and you can say it was COVID, or you can say it was finally the contracts, Howie Roseman didn't draft correctly, or you can say the team just lost its spirit, or Carson Wentz is the issue. But I don't think you could say Doug is the issue because Doug made the call to put Hurts in, and it lit a spark, and now Doug is not backing away from the decision he made. And he's got to go with this decision for the rest of the year. It's not an easy decision. It's a rock and a hard place. Now you really you're going to have to ship a pick away with Carson to get rid of him. But that's the price of doing business sometimes. You can't make that decision. You can't get away with it sometimes.
This is the issue with that, Tony. I remember this was probably even before week 5, but I'll just point a time. We were 1-3-1.
Mm-hmm.
Everybody, you, me, my parents, cousin, people were calling me up, texting me.
Listeners of this great show.
We all knew that something was wrong with Carson Wentz at that time.
Yep.
But Doug was stubborn. And we called him out on that. Stubborn and arrogant. And wouldn't light that spark in the team that they needed. And we all said that Jalen Hurts needed to go in. At some point during this season, way before he actually did it, against the Green Bay Packers this past Sunday in week 12? 13? Week 13?
13.
That's the issue for me is that Doug, he needs to make that call sooner. Andy Reid did that to Donovan McNabb. He got benched, and then 4 games later he comes back and he saves the season, and they go into the playoffs. That's what needed to happen much sooner. Now we have no shot at the playoffs, and that's kind of what bothers me.
Yeah, and so I guess my only point with Doug Peterson is this. He won you a Super Bowl. You can't. It's not like Andy Reid. Andy Reid kept coming up short, and got stale really quickly, and they couldn't find a replacement quarterback, and it just wasn't working. That's different than you brought a city a Super Bowl, and this is the first year you're not making the playoffs since the Super Bowl after coaches have been poached, players have been poached, you have a GM that can't draft, and you have a quarterback that clearly is just not the same quarterback. Okay, you could say you're supposed to be the quarterback whisperer, you're supposed to be the guy that keeps the quarterback and shit. Okay, yeah, it's fine, put a little blame, but he's earned enough. See, Carson doesn't have the same kind of leverage that Doug does. Doug was the coach for the Super Bowl. Carson was on the bench. And they picked Carson. They picked him over the quarterback who won them a Super Bowl. And so you get held to a different standard than the guy who actually won. You got paid like you won the Super Bowl for the Eagles when really you didn't. And so that's why I agree that Philadelphia fans had, at week 5, had something reasonable to be upset about with the way he was playing. You couldn't even beat the Bengals, who were by far the worst team at the time with a brand new rookie quarterback, and you tied them. That was the writing on the wall for me, was when they couldn't beat the Bengals. And then he comes back and he plays decent against the Steelers. Okay, yeah, you almost beat them. But it doesn't matter. It doesn't matter that you barely lost to them. You lost to them at the end of the day. And I can't justify you playing for this team if you're Carson Wentz and you play this bad. I'm not sorry. That's just the way it is. That welcome to the real world. You get held accountable for the play you bring onto the field, for the actions that you do in the locker room, for the way that you conduct your life. All of it is under a microscope as a professional quarterback. The way you play, the way you... Now, Carson's a great guy. Don't get me wrong. He's the type of guy you want in the locker room in the sense that doesn't get into trouble, a family man. You want to see that. That's what you want in your quarterback. But I also can't have a guy who shows up and thinks he can't be questioned. Tom Brady used to be ridiculed and embarrassed by Bill Belichick every week. Do you want to be that great? It's not easy. Your ego takes a hit when you're that great. When you're Tom Brady, and yeah, sure, WEEI, I guess it is, or the rest of Boston media or national media doesn't say anything mean about you. I've never heard Colin Cowherd say a mean word about Tom Brady. But instead of the media saying it to you, it's your actual coach. That's a lot harder. That's a harder pill to swallow. If you're a quarterback and your coach is on your case all the time, like Frank Wright apparently was, or at least held them accountable.
And DiFilippo, yeah.
Yeah. Then it's a different story. And Doug didn't do that, and hopefully Doug learns this lesson. Once again, he has a little bit more capital. He was the one who coached up Nick Foles from the bench to a Super Bowl champion. There's merit in all of that, but if you're Carson, pack your bags and start looking for houses in Indianapolis, because that's the only place that's going to take you, and Howie Roseman better get out of the way when the trade's made, because he's not going to be the one who makes the trade. Those are the first two issues. Doug, on my side, and me and Jim argued about this constantly, but I think we've come to the conclusion Doug has enough capital, enough equity in this Eagles organization where at least Jeff Lurie has to keep him for this year. COVID goes away. And if you mess up once next year, if you're Doug Peterson, you mess up once, you're gone. And Howie, and Jeff Lurie, not Howie, but Jeff Lurie has every right to fire you next year if you're not playing up to. That's the warning. This is the warning. You did the right thing. You put in Hurts. You're willing to understand that some difficult decisions are made, especially with starting quarterbacks. But don't fool me once, shame on you. Fool me twice, you ain't fooling me again.
Yeah, that's true. And I want to point your attention to a nice little conversation that's going on in the chat here. We got between Sean P. and Stephen Brownell. It's pretty interesting. Doug said he's switching the game plan to more running and short passes this week, and Stephen said that he swears if he'll lose his mind if people say it's because of Hurts. But it's just because if Doug changes the play calling to something that probably would have been better for Wentz to begin with, then how can you justify that it's Hurts? It's because of Hurts that they're winning. It's going to be tough. If Doug just makes those play calls to begin with, then we don't have this situation.
So can I say something that worries me about Hurts?
What's that?
So I'm very scared, and this is the one backfire for taking Carson out. No one has footage of Jalen Hurts playing football in the NFL. Wasn't a thing. And this happens a lot. When you bring a guy in, it happened to Daniel Jones last year. When you bring a guy in and no one's had footage on him, it's easy to kind of squeak games out because you can do little tricks and tips here and there around the field that players aren't ready for because there's no game footage on you. It takes the NFL 4 or 5 games to really figure you out, and coaches will figure you out. And they figured Carson out. They realized that Carson has a slow release, and this was something that everyone was talking about when they were drafting him, the way he hitches his arm. It's a little off, and I think a lot of teams have exposed him, and he's not fast enough up top or doesn't have the right play calling for him to see the field correctly. Maybe he's just not ready for that style of offense. Maybe he has to play a different style. I don't know. But teams figure you out. And Jalen Hurts was able to catch Seattle off guard, inject a little life into this offense because he caught teams off guard and he used his legs a lot. Didn't really have that great decision making. He didn't complete that many passes. Maybe you could say that's the wide receivers, but I don't know. I think that it's really worrisome that come 4 weeks from now, 3 weeks from now, all of a sudden Jalen Hurts doesn't look that good. Now you're really in a crisis situation if you're the Eagles, because who knows if he's that talented? Who knows if he figures it out? And if Doug's not doing creative play calling, this guy better be pretty smart, because Carson Wentz, a pretty athletic guy, he wasn't an idiot. He was a pretty decent quarterback. He's played in decent offenses that have pretty substantial schemes. Even he couldn't figure it out. So, I mean, unless Jalen Hurts is really, really good, he's the next Peyton Manning, and I don't know about it. I'm a little worried about this. This is why I was a little tentative about taking Wentz out. I'd rather have Wentz in, kind of, just let him take the heat so you can justify trading up for like Justin Fields.
I don't know. I think Wentz has to just sit and just think about the things he needs to improve upon. I was watching this one thing on YouTube. Everybody check it out. It's John Gruden's QB camp that he used to do before he was coaching the Raiders. He did it with Carson. And Carson, the big thing that he told Carson was, I want you to be a two-handed monster. Have two hands on the ball at all times. And guess what happened this year? I went through some of the games. I looked back. All of Carson's fumbles and interceptions and stuff, well, mostly the fumbles that he was letting up, he didn't have two hands on the ball. And that's the number one thing that he was supposed to work on from that QB camp that he came out of. And it just, you can see that he doesn't do that, and he did it back in 2017. That's the big thing, is he doesn't
prevent
do
a lot of
little
strip
things.
sacks and stuff.
Yeah, it's just he's a totally different player. So you have to look at those things, and there's little small things that he was told to do every day by John DeFilippo. That was his difference maker. That's why he was an MVP or whatever.
I just want to say this, Sean Prince Valley says Hurts is very intelligent. I'm not saying that Hurts is an idiot. I'm just saying in the NFL, you really do you really see who has the smarts for the game. I'm not saying he wasn't a talented quarterback at Alabama or Oklahoma. He was a runner-up for the Heisman Trophy. It's a little different in the NFL, and guys struggle sometimes. I'm not saying he won't succeed, but I'm saying now you're open to the opportunity of a new guy failing, and if the citizenry, I just want to avoid the Chicago situation, I guess is my point. Mitchell Trubisky. No, now we want Nick Foles. And when it didn't work out for Nick Foles, it's like, okay, who do we have now? Oh, great, Mitchell Trubisky. It's not good. And, Jalen Hurts is different from Mitchell Trubisky or Nick Foles because he's a rookie. And so Nick Foles has issues of being older, slower, maybe not that great of a quarterback outside of Doug's scheme. Jalen Hurts has the issue of being a rookie, hasn't seen a lot of NFL schemes. Players are faster than he's used to. So that they have different issues. They're different quarterbacks, but they're kind of in the same situation of if you fail, the organization has no fallback now. And that's my worry, I guess, I can't even say Eagles fan, but as someone who watches the Eagles.
Agreed. I think that we're starting to reach a compromise about our opinions.
Yeah,
on this
we're
team.
melding into one.
Yeah. Do you want to get into our picks?
Yeah, let's do the picks.
Okay, so both of us went.
You go first this week, by the way, because I went first last week.
Sure, no problem. Both of us went 1-1, which kept us in that crucial tie. So I don't know if we keep riding 1-1s and just end up tied for the rest of the season.
That's gonna be devastating.
Be that fun. Okay, so the odds for Philly versus New Orleans. So we have New Orleans -7 and Philly +7.
Ooh, this one's tough.
I think they're. Let me just check to make sure that this is a home game because I'm pretty sure that it is.
A touchdown is tough. I don't want. That's calling for a push.
It is a home game. Okay, so I always take home dogs. I'm a huge fan of home dogs, so I'm going to take the Eagles +7. It's so Eagles +7 or New Orleans -7. Home dogs are great. So Eagles +7, and then the total is 44.5. I am going to go with the over 44.5.
Okay, so I don't think New Orleans can score that much. They can score, but I don't think they score like crazy. And Taysom Hill's good. So I'm going to go under on the 44.5. I think it's going to be cold, windy, whatever. I don't even know what's the weather in Philadelphia. Let me look it up real quick. You'll hear me typing on my mechanical keyboard. On Sunday, it is 58 and sunny. Okay.
Ooh.
Okay. I like that. Precipitation? 0 precipitation. 58 is not that cold, and I always go off the weather. I'm going to go under still. I don't know what the wind situation is going to be. Like wind. For the spread, this one's the harder one, right? The spread's difficult because for New Orleans, their defense is really good, and I think they can hold the Eagles, except we don't know what the quarterback situation is. They've never seen this quarterback play, and so it's really worrisome for me to take a touchdown favorite, even if they are what I think are they're the best team in the NFC, third best team in the NFL. I'm gonna take New Orleans at 7. The Eagles struggle to cover. I'm taking New Orleans. Okay.
All right. I mean, that gives we could go 1-1 again with that.
Yeah, we're gonna go 1-1, 1-for-1. Let's go to the power rankings, Jim, while you fill that all out.
All right.
We haven't done this in a while, actually.
It's been a whole month.
How
did a whole month go? I know we missed 2 shows.
We missed 2 shows.
Because of holidays and stuff. But
Happy holidays.
And computer breakdown.
And then we had the computer breakdown, yes. But still, I can't believe I forgot to do it. I feel like an idiot. Okay. So last time I did power rankings, this is like a little snapshot, like a time capsule. We're opening up a little time capsule to see what I was thinking a month ago. I had the Steelers at number 1, Chiefs 2, Seahawks 3, Tampa 4, Saints 5. Tampa, whew, talk about a fall from grace. I mean, they're outside my top 10, possibly. This week's power rankings for Tony, 12-10, 20-20. I got number 1, Chiefs. Steelers lost last week. Chiefs, they're up. They're number 1. They look dominant, even if they struggled to beat the Broncos a little bit. 2, Steelers. Yeah, tough loss against the Giants. The Giants are an up-and-coming team.
Sorry, I think you mean the Redskins.
Oh, you mean the Washington football team?
Yes, the Washington football team.
Sorry. It was the Seahawks who lost to the Giants. Thank you for the correction, intern.
No problem.
Oh, wait, that's just Jim Jam.
Same thing.
Okay, so I have Chiefs number 1, Steelers number 2. I still think the Steelers are a good team. I think it was a blessing in disguise that they lost that game. A lot less pressure heading into the playoffs. Now I think they're really a team that can beat the Chiefs and go to the Super Bowl. You don't want to be in the Patriots situation where you're trying to defend the perfect season. It's just, there's too much pressure. And if I was a football team, I'd rather lose a game in the regular season and win the Super Bowl than go perfect. Like try to attempt to go perfect for the season. Mm-hmm. Like I don't know. It's a little pressure release. Number 3, I have the Saints. I think it's pretty obvious they're the third best team in the league, best team in the NFC. They're really good. Even without their quarterback, they're really good. It's just a really well-built team. Their defense is so good, and that the fact that they can substitute a guy in and they just keep winning, it's just like the Eagles 3 years ago. You just know this team's really well built. It's got good foundation to it. Number 4, I have Packers. I know people say, ooh, the Packers defense, it's not that great. You got your good quarterback, though, and Devontae Adams looks like the best wide receiver in the NFL. Maybe behind DJ Metcalf. Anyway, Packers, number 4. And finally, Bills at 5. Bills keep winning. I know it's a little questionable if they're that good or not, but if they can win the division, the Dolphins are really good. The Patriots are still good. If the Patriots hadn't lost 2 of those like oopsie games, we'd be talking about an AFC East that's going to send 2 teams to the wild card with a division matchup. That's a pretty good conference, especially for the fact that the AFC is very top heavy. The fact that 3 of your teams are in the top, they're the top of the most divided conference in football. The NFC is a mess. There are teams with 4 wins who still think they can go to the playoffs. The AFC, it's like if you're not over 7 wins by now, you better start thinking about where you're going for vacation come January. So that's my ranking: Chiefs, Steelers, Saints, Packers, Bills. Jim, what do you think?
I like that. I think that I think everybody underneath these teams are pretty much fakers. Like the Rams and the Seahawks, I don't really see them going too far in the playoffs. If they make it with the wild card and how all that shakes out. But I think this is good. There's only one team that I would consider, and that would be the Cleveland Browns.
Oh yeah, no, the Cleveland Browns are like the 7-6 area for me with the Dolphins. The Dolphins and the Browns are floating around, and that's what I'm saying. Like, if the Patriots hadn't messed around, or I don't even want to say messed around, but if they hadn't lost some of those ticky-tack games, they'd be fighting with the Browns for the other wild card spot.
Yeah, definitely.
Easily. And the AFC is just so much better than this year. The top AFC teams just look really good. If you look at the NFC, outside the Saints, who even then you can say, oh, their quarterback is out, like Drew Brees is out, but it's still a well-built team. There are no other teams like the Saints in the NFC. The Seahawks have issues. The Cardinals, who everyone thought were going to win their division over the Seahawks, they've got issues. They've kind of unraveled a little bit. The Packers have issues. Yeah, Sean P. in the chat says they have some guys on D that are pretty good. Yeah, no, I agree that they do. However, there's still some holes in that. They don't run the ball as well as I would like them to give Aaron Rodgers a little bit of pressure relief. It's hard when you're passing the ball all the time. They're decent. There's a reason why the Packers are 4 on my list. I'm just saying the NFC, most of those teams, you could poke holes into them. They're not as well built or well complete as you'd think they would be. And the Rams have their own issues. Their quarterback play is a little questionable. I think the AFC is better this year. I think an AFC team's going to win the Super Bowl. But we'll have to see. Jim, let's talk about James Harden.
Let's do it.
James Harden, man. Who would have thought that he would be the player who would practically unravel the player empowerment movement in the NBA? He was caught going to... let's use the correct, not correct term, but the most gentle term possible. A gentleman's club. He was also at a rapper's birthday party. What was the rapper's name, Jim? Do you know?
Oh, no, I forget. But he
Isn't
gifted
it like
him,
Lil Baby or something?
Lil Baby, yeah, that's it. He gifted him like, I don't know, what was it?
$100,000, wasn't it?
Something like that. 100,000 or 300,000.
Now, we all know James Harden likes to party. I mean, that's well known. It was well known that he frequented gentlemen's clubs, is the word I'm going to use. But it's unexcusable what he's done. I think everyone has said that, and I don't really need to jump on his case if everyone else is doing it. That's kind of how I view everything. But I will say this. You have a contractual obligation to show up when you were asked to show up. And it's one thing to hold out. We all know the pandemic's going on. Let me just, before I even continue my thought, we all know the pandemic's going on. Okay, we all got that. Everyone got that at home. Everyone's got that on YouTube. We all know what's happening because we're all in our homes, or we're in our homes. And it's still, the vaccines have still not been distributed. They're going to be soon, but we're still waiting on that. Okay, that's fine. I'm not complaining about anything. But I will say this. I'm setting this table because James Harden knows all of this. He knows that there are still risks to going outside. And the fact of the matter is, he has a job where he has signed a contract that says he's going to follow certain protocols because of a virus. And once you sign that contract, it's a contractual obligation. You could say, I'm a freedom fighter, I'm doing all this X, Y, and Z. But once you sign the contract and say, I'm going to do this, I'm going to promise to do this, you have no out. And when you say, I want to get a trade, I'm not going to show up, I'm going to sacrifice the money, that's okay. But the fact that you're just going to go out to clubs without taking any precaution and knowing that you're going to be filmed, that's something different. That's different than like sitting at home and, I'm holding out, but I'm at home and they know I'm at home because I'm just holding out to prove a point, but I'm staying healthy because I got teammates that still do rely on me. And the thing is, when players have contracts that are upcoming, they want to be on the best team possible. They want to have there are guys on that team that have contracts coming up that rely on James Harden playing well so they look a little bit better, so they earn a little bit more money. It's not going to help the chemistry of the team, which is probably shot by now. It doesn't help the chemistry of the team when your star player's not showing up, especially when guys are in contract years. This is a well-known fact of the NBA or any professional sport. And so for James Harden to be so flippant about all this is pretty bad. I'm not here to be the moral police, but I'm going to say, your time in Houston's done, and I think everyone agrees with that. And I think that the organization should hold out on money. I mean, this action by him, not only is it hurting what I just said, guys who, need him to play, it's hurting the fact that the players' unions are supposed to negotiate with the league soon. And after the Anthony Davis trade, a lot of executives were very questionable about where this league is going, and that players, they're leveraging it too much. And now no one except for me and Jim are going to root for a piece of laundry, right? Jim's wearing his Ben Simmons jersey right now. Why would I ever root for the 76ers if everyone's going to leave? The league has a crisis, and I'm afraid that it's actually not going to be America's sport like we all thought it was going to be. It's still going to be football, and I could go on and on about baseball too. But the fact of the matter is, if these players screw it up and don't reciprocate what the league does for them, you can't just go me. It needs to be a relationship. It needs to be two parties coming together and working towards a common goal. In this case, it's basketball and it's entertainment. That you're in the entertainment biz. And you can James Harden can single-handedly ruin all of that if he doesn't play it right or if he doesn't play it safe. The owners will strike down on any deal. They will make sure that players have less bargaining power than they need to. And guess what? The owners own the buildings. The owners own the television rights. The players can go, and I've said this before, the players can go, oh, we're going to go play somewhere else then. Who's going to watch you? Who's going to film you? Who's going to get the logistics together? Jim, how hard was it to get the XFL?
Very hard.
How about the AF?
The what?
The AF?
The what?
The American Athletic Football League or whatever it was called?
Yeah, that existed for 2 months.
2 months. It's hard to start a league. It's hard to get the infrastructure up. And guess what? There's a ton of college guys who are pretty exciting because, you know why I know? Because people watch college basketball. And unless you're against NBA talent, you really can't tell the difference. Like college kids against college kids, you know, that form of basketball, you can kind of tell, but it's still really entertaining. Guess what? Those kids, they'll just pay those kids. They'll be like, okay, you can't be in a union. We're going to bring in a whole new class of players, and that's it. The league has the infrastructure. The owners have the infrastructure to do all of that. The players, yeah, they have some power. They have so much power in the sense that Nike gives them endorsement deals and puts them on television. But they better be careful. Better be careful. Don't think twice that the league won't just bring in other players from Europe. There's just so much that can go wrong, and I don't want the players to mess it up, right? Well, this is like my thing with Salle, right? I'm not saying this for people who think Anthony or Tony or whatever you call me, you know, you just don't think player empowerment's that night. No. I'm okay with people understanding their value and negotiating correctly to the money that they deserve. But don't ruin it for everyone else. And don't think that the owners are just going to roll over and take it. You're dancing on thin ice, and I really worry. You know.
You desperately want the Goal with Standard to respond to this podcast.
They will. Don't worry,
Tony. Let's get down to business here because I don't see any shot of Harden staying in Houston. That's not happening. It's over. That relationship is done. So let's move on to the future here because it looks like he's coming to the East. No matter what, whether it's the Sixers or not, he's coming to the East. Now, who's it going to be? Is it going to be the Nets, the Bucks, the Heat? Because the Bucks and the Heat are now added to his preferred destinations, apparently per ESPN, I believe. So, what the Sixers are going to have some issues if he's not coming to us because these things scare me. Harden and Giannis.
I don't know. Giannis said he picked Kemba Walker over Harden because he wanted someone who passes.
Right.
I mean, fine. But still, it's a combination that you don't want to verse.
Harden and Durant or Kyrie, whoever's left if he gets traded to the Nets. Harden with that Miami Heat team, if Jimmy Butler's still there, that scares me a little bit. And it's almost like we need to pull an Al Horford trade again to just take him off the table from every other team so that they can't sign him. That's where I'm at.
That scares me.
Because I'm scared if he goes to a team in the East. It bothers me. I don't know how you feel about it.
I'm not worried about it. I'm okay with him coming to the East. Bring him on. I'm not scared. He's not going to... Guess what team in the East he's going to, Jim? Guess. You're drinking water, but guess.
I don't know. The Nets?
No, the Knicks.
The Knicks?
The Knicks are going to trade for him. I guarantee it.
The Knicks?
The Knicks. How funny is that? You wanted to play in New York. You're just one borough away. You're one train ride away from your friend Kyrie and Kevin. Maybe you guys can rent a flat together in Manhattan and just commute to your different workplaces.
They're a dying team, dude.
Yeah, but guess what? They're willing to make a splash. They're willing to do it. How Madison Square Garden is going to be not filled this season, but next season he's got to play, and he'll like the hustle and bustle of New York City, and the city needs it. The city that city needs entertainment. It's almost that city's dead practically. They need a star in that town, and the Giants don't have it, and the Jets don't have it. The Islanders were good this year, but no one pays attention to hockey. Then you can say the Nets have it, but if you're the Knicks, you gotta be the best. You gotta be the best thing in town. And guess what? Manhattan is different than Brooklyn. It has a different form of glamour to it. So if I'm the Knicks, I make the roll. I roll the dice. I'm stuttering because I'm thinking, okay, so say he goes to the Nets. Him and Kyrie are gonna fight for the ball. Who's gonna fight for the ball? We already know that Kevin Durant and Kyrie Irving are kind of prima donnas, and James Harden has just proven he's a prima donna. So I'm not worried about that team. They're not going to be able to figure anything out. They're not going to go 1, 2, 3 team. We're going to pass the ball. Like, they're not going to do that. I'm not worried about them. The only team that worries me is maybe the Heat. And the only reason why it would is because Spoelstra will whip those guys into shape. Like, Spoelstra's the only coach that I think of where I go, wow, that guy, he might whip James Harden into shape. And Jimmy Butler is the kind of guy who will hold James Harden accountable, who won't take that crap and say, hey, look, I went to the NBA Finals more times than you did. I lead.
So what about the Celtics then? Doesn't Brad Stevens scare you a little bit?
Brad Stevens scares me a little bit, but that's another team that still hasn't been over the hump, and they couldn't. Kyrie Irving and James Harden play the same style, and they never really got that far,
right.
to the NBA Finals with Kyrie. I think that team's better when they don't have a ball-dominant guy on it. They pass the ball so much better when guys buy in, and they're not just like dominating the ball. Like Kemba Walker is a much better fit for the Celtics.
Definitely, I
they
think
were
so
just
too.
held back because Gordon Hayward didn't play as well as you would hope him to, like for the money you were paying him.
Right. Part of that was just investing in Gordon Hayward, and then that injury really just ruined.
Right. I guarantee you, if Hayward was healthy, they would have gone to the NBA Finals. Like if he was the player that
he used to be.
Exactly.
Yeah, I got you.
They made the right moves. It just never panned together. And that team has always been, as I'll repeat right now, that team has always been better when there's not a guy who just wants the ball in his hands all the time, that they share the ball. Even Tatum shares the ball. So, take that with a grain of salt. I'm trying to think. Yeah, so I said the Heat are the only other team that would worry me if I'm a Sixers fan. The Wizards aren't going to get him. Charlotte is not going to get him. They're not going to trade for him, even though that would be incredible if they did. I would be blown away. No one in the West is going to go after him. Memphis, like I'm thinking of teams that no one's thinking about.
The Pacers.
The Pacers don't have the cap space for it. They can give him Victor Oladipo, who gets paid a lot of money, but I don't think that's going to happen. I don't think as I said, the Memphis Grizzlies, don't think the Pelicans are going to do it. That would just ruin Zion. You don't want a guy like that around Zion. You want Zion to build his own team and to stay away from guys who are toxic in the locker room, who demand trades and think they're going to get them, right? That was the other thing. They enabled James Harden. They enabled him. He said, get me Chris Paul, and they got him. He said, give me Russell Westbrook, get rid of Chris Paul. They did it. It screwed the team up. They listened to him too much. They listened to him too much, Jim. So it just worries me. It worries me for the Houston organization. It's a good organization. I hate that Steven Silas has to deal with this. He's a guy who's, and this is a thing that people have been saying forever. He's a guy who's waited this whole time to get his job. He has a job with a star in the program, and this guy is just ruining it all. It's hard to build chemistry within a team. You're a new coach, and this is the guy you got to deal with. Not easy. Feel bad for him. I think the Knicks are the team to watch out for. I don't think the Nets will put a deal together. The Bucks, I don't think they have the trade assets unless it's Middleton, but I don't know. And even if you do trade Middleton, who do you have around that's going to help elevate? You can't just have these two stars and have no one else around them. I don't know. Maybe I'm just blowing smoke, Jim.
The Lakers had 2 stars.
Yeah, but they had more of an infrastructure around their stars.
I'm just being cheeky.
Yeah, I know. I can tell. I can see you. Jim, talk Phillies. Bring it up.
All right, yeah. So a little bit of breaking news. The Phillies just hired a president of their baseball ops, Dave Dombrowski. So basically, Andy McPhail was the president before. He was the guy that was with the Baltimore Orioles and then came to us. And I'm actually going to bring a negative here because I'm not normally negative about things. But the thing that sold us on McPhail was that he brought 2 championships, or he experienced 2 championships and everything like that. Mm-hmm. Well, the same thing can be said for Dombrowski. He won multiple championships, so that doesn't mean necessarily that that he's going to bring the championship winning culture with him, or that's just automatically going to happen for us now that we have a president. But what it does mean is that you have a guy that has been a president he's been involved in baseball since 1978. So you're talking 42 years. This guy's got a lot of experience in baseball, and that's what I care about most. He's a little bit older, but who cares? I think that he's going to be a good guy in the front office. He'll work with Middleton and hopefully make better deals. Like Middleton said that he was going to, be a little stupid about it with the money and everything. Well, this guy actually has been stupid about it in the past. He was, for instance, before he left the Tigers, he signed a deal with Miguel Cabrera for 8 years, $244 million. That's $30 million a year for 8 years. So basically, Miggy's still making $30 million, and he's not a $30 million player. So this guy does get a little stupid about money. So maybe that will actually push Middleton to finally be stupid about money and really go after players.
So we talk about the Wheeler situation.
Yeah, sure. You want to talk about the weird rumors that are going on?
So is it Clintac just spreading rumors? I kind of have like this theory, this conspiracy theory in my head. I am not connected to the Philadelphia. Disclaimer: I am not connected to the Philadelphia Phillies organization. I do not have any inside tips on them. This is literally just me kind of, spitballing around here. But Matt Clintac, who's the GM, got demoted, and he has contact with other news outlets and reporters and things like that. Who says that he wasn't the one who just released that information? That he isn't the one who just said, yeah, they're going to get rid of Wheeler and spread some fake news around about them because the owner came out and said, no, that's not true. Whoever said that is lying. And I believe the owner. There is no reason for you to clean house. Every other team is dealing with these issues of money right now. No one's going to take on that contract. It doesn't make sense from baseball standpoint. Who's going to take on that contract? No one can afford it then.
You're not going to get the same value back if you trade Wheeler for
and he's
anything,
really good. He's really good. Why would you do that? And everyone, it just doesn't make sense because the Phillies last year go, we're going to spend stupid money, and then they do this with Wheeler. They say we can't afford him.
Yeah,
what?
It's not like every team in baseball has lost money this year.
Every team,
besides possibly the Dodgers.
Yeah, who won a championship and got on television a lot, and they're in a major market.
Yeah, and you have to stick with our major market. If you make it to the playoffs, if you make it to the championship, even on a year where there's only 60 games, you're going to sell merchandise and tickets for the future, and et cetera. So Middleton's got to just step up and actually put money down and actually invest in the right players, invest in pitching, because that's going to win you a championship. And because we have the bats now, it's just the pitching. So he needs to just make the right decisions, and hopefully this new hire will help. The idea of those rumors coming out about Wheeler and Harper being shopped due to the financial loss.
You can't shop Harper, man. That would kill your franchise forever. No one's ever going to sign with you.
And then Middleton comes out like immediately and tries to squash these rumors as soon as they came out. That makes me worried about the front office, and hopefully this hire will start to like solidify everything, because that just, it makes you worried. It makes you freak out as a fan that you don't know what's going on in there. It's chaotic, and they're not making the right decisions.
And maybe it's a ship without a sail right now because there's no general manager. You don't know what direction you're going in. You don't know which way the wind's blowing, and rumors start to swirl. And it's very possible that low-level people are making dumb statements to the media, and the media's running with it because it's funny. Like if you're media, if you're a reporter, you look at that and go, "That's hysterical." You're willing to trade your best pitcher out of the fact that you don't have any money. Now everyone was going, "Oh, the Phillies, they have money. It's easy to tell people what to do when it's not your money." I will say that. I'm going to defend the guy a little bit, but the fact that Middleton came out and said, "No, this is not true," then it's not true. I don't know what else to say.
It's not true until something else changes, I guess.
It's not true until they have a general manager who can even execute that trade. But right now they don't. So then why would I ever think that that's a possibility?
Well, that makes me wonder about this hire for the president, because he has experience as a GM. So I don't know if maybe he'll fill in as the interim as the time being or what.
Possibly.
But, like I said, he's the one that does make the stupid money decisions in the past.
Yeah,
so
people have been tweeting out that, like, he, as you said, stupid with the money. He'll sell out now, and then he'll leave your organization with nothing. But the great thing is we were always in a rebuild stage. We started with nothing anyway.
Yeah, exactly. I mean, that's what happened with Detroit. That's what happened with the Red Sox. I mean, he's been to both those organizations. Look at them now.
They can't even get off the ground.
Yeah.
Detroit baseball is like historic. And they've just been irrelevant ever since Verlander was gone.
Yeah, I mean, they had their one shot. They won 2 pennants, right?
Yep. And they could never win the World Series, though.
Era. Yeah.
Ugh, feel so bad for them. Jim, I think it's time to wrap it up, though.
Definitely. Oh, one thing before we wrap it up.
Breaking news.
No, it's just something I want to announce. It's really, really cool thing.
Okay.
My favorite player, my favorite defensive player, at least, for the Eagles, Rodney McLeod, became the Walter Payton nominee for the team. So he'll go up against everybody else's player for the actual award.
And they get to wear that patch next year.
Yeah. So his big thing is he has his foundation is called Change Our Future. He empowers Philadelphia youth through education and community enrichment. Check it out if you want to help out a good cause during the holiday season. That would be one of them.
We are not sponsored.
Not sponsored. This is just my recommendation.
This is Jim.
Yeah.
I had charity out of my heart for LaSalle. Jim has charity out of his heart for actual people who need help. I guess we fight. I fight the good fight. I tried to.
So let's just hope Rodney can bring it home. I don't know if he will, but
when was the last time an Eagles player won that award?
I think Malcolm Jenkins.
Oh, okay.
Might have. But he's going up against Myles Garrett, and he had a helmet incident last year, so
I like to think we could beat him. Yeah. We like to think we could beat him. Jim, thanks for being on Tony's Takes. Really do appreciate it. Another great episode.
Thanks, Tony. I love being here.
It was a good episode. And for those who listen to us on YouTube, thank you very much for being here. We really do appreciate you taking time out of your busy Thursday night to listen to Tony's Takes. While you're here, make sure to like and subscribe to our channel. Like the video, subscribe to our channel. And while you subscribe to our channel, double click the notification bell. That way you get notified every time we go live. In case you miss the show, this show goes up on Apple Podcasts as a recording. That's right, Apple Podcasts, not Spotify. I haven't been able to get us on Spotify. It's kind of hard. I don't know why it won't let me register, but I got us on Apple Podcasts. Just search Tony's Takes and you'll see the great Tony's Takes logo if you ever want to re-listen to this great episode. In addition, make sure to follow us on Twitter at Tonys_Takes. Once again, that's at Tonys_Takes. If you don't subscribe to us on YouTube or Apple Podcasts, Twitter's the next best place to get the notifications of when we are going live. So make sure to follow us there at Tonys_Takes. Also, email the mailbag. All mail gets read on the show. Mailbag, tonystakes.1851@gmail.com. tonystakes.1851@gmail.com. Make sure to mail the mailbag. That way you get your email right here on the show. Other than that, thanks for tuning in to today's episode of Tony's Takes, the greatest show in sports talk radio. I look forward to seeing everyone right here, 7 o'clock on YouTube next week for another great episode of Tony's Takes. Have a good night, everyone.
The premier sports talk radio, it's Tony's Takes.
Here we go.